I'm Vanessa Ruck here in the Xlmoto garage. Shh, don't tell the thieves, but today we're here to look at a load of security devices to keep your motorcycle safe. Today we're here to talk about the really sad, painful reality that a motorcycle is stolen probably every second somewhere around the world. There are thieves out there to get our pride and joy. But in this video, we're going to look through a selection of security products available from the Xlmoto website that will hopefully help you keep your pride and joy in your own company, in your garage, or wherever it is that you keep it safe. So this range of products is going to cover all the different areas of how to keep a motorcycle secure. And that isn't just physically chaining it to something. So stay tuned for the whole batch of things that help keep your bike safe. So first up, we have the Airbus Granit Detector Xplus 8077. And this is a disc lock. You can see it's quite small and compact, which is going to be ideal for you taking it with you on your travels if you're going to be locking your bike up at work or outside the shops. It's very easy to take around and comes with its own little carry case. Now, there are a few features worth talking about on this, and the first one is the security side of the Airbus locks. So this small device is pretty small, but it's mighty. It's made of hardened steel. It has a Xplus cylinder, which makes lock-picking incredibly difficult. And it comes with a key, of course, but the key, one of two, has a light on it, which if I show you, that means if you're going to unlock your bike in the dark, you can use your key to find its way into the hole. Just a nice little practical extra. Now, this is designed to go onto your brake disc, so I will show you installation of it. But before I do that, it's probably worth letting you know that if you set this thing off, you're gonna know about it. It's 100 decibels per 15 seconds. Once the alarm has gone off, it will automatically reset and continue. And I can tell you from having played with it, it's loud, and no doubt I will set it off for you in a moment. A feature that it has is this ball on the inside. I don't know if you can quite see it. We'll do a close-up. But that ball is a magic way that this device knows whether it's on your bike or not. So right now, it is in fact locked, which technically should mean it's armed and going to go off. But because of that ball not being engaged by your brake disc, it is not screaming. But if I put my finger in and pretend to be a brake disc and then move it, you can see it's giving me a warning. Just a cool feature that enables you to keep it compact when you're traveling it around. So let's get it onto the bike. So you've got the key. I'm going to open it up and that releases the bar. You're going to want to play around on your bike to find the best position for it. And I warn you, this thing wants to go off with movement and vibration. So get it into its resting position. Engage it, twist the key. It will give you a warning because it doesn't like being played with. You get the LED light that goes off and that is now set. If I was to now tamper with my motorcycle, I would get a warning. I'm not sure wobbling a bike on a stand is a good idea, so I'm just going to give it a flick and you can see that it's actually flashing red to show that it is armed. But if I knock it, it's immediately going to go off and it's loud. So the key calms it down. Now that's a great one because not only is it giving an audio deterrent to a potential thief, it's also actually going to stop your bike being able to be moved quite as easily. By putting it around the disc, that wheel is only going to be able to spin maybe half a turn until the unit hits the caliper. So it's actually a motion restrictor for your motorcycle as well. So that's the first item we're going to be looking at. It's small, it's compact, it's quite low as far as the financial burden of purchasing one, but it's a great deterrent visually and physically. The second item on the list is a slightly more traditional deterrent for thieves, and that is the Airbus Victory Lock and chain. So first of all, let's look at the chain. This is a toughened steel chain. You can see it's 1.20 meters in length. It's got some good weight to it, and it also has a material sleeve on it. That's important because it stops the metal of the chain damaging your motorcycle. A feature of this chain is also the big ring at one end. That effectively enables you to utilize the very large majority of the chain in the process because you only need to overlap by a tiny amount to engage the victory lock through it. Now, when you have your motorcycle, you're going to need to work with whatever bike that you own and find the most suitable solution for where to use your chain. What you want to think about is what can be removed on the bike. So the front wheel is a very obvious place people often put a chain and a lock. However, a couple of bolts and any confident thief will be able to have your front wheel off in seconds, leave the wheel and the chain for you, and take the rest of the bike. So what you want to do is try and look for somewhere a little bit more difficult to disengage. So things through swing arms, through big engine frames, those kind of areas are a great idea. On this bike, we have a nice hole here through the solid swing arm, so I'm going to use that. Simply threading the chain through the bike. This is where the protective sleeve is great because it means I'm not hurting the bike. And then you're going to be able to grab your victory lock. This has the Xplus cylinder on it as well for anti-picking for thieves, so they're unlikely to be able to get their ninja little hairpin out like in the Bond movies and pick it. There we go. Comes apart in two. You're going to engage your chain through the loop and put the victory lock on. A great feature of this lock and chain is that it comes with this little card on it. Now this is a code card Xplus, and on the back of it you have a personalized code. That is actually the code that is signified and links to your key, which means you want to take this off your keys and put it somewhere safe, because if you lose your keys you can simply call them up and get a new key ordered. You won't have to buy a whole new lock. But there is a fundamental issue in what I have just done with this chain, because that is not going to be stopping anything or anyone from taking my motorcycle. You're going to want to find something solid on the ground, a lamppost or something to be able to put that through so that your bike is actually attached to it. Now, an additional product that you could purchase to have in your own garage or on the driveway outside your house is the A-Bus floor loop. This is a very substantial hardened steel. I'm going to take it apart because it's in two parts. So you have your hardened steel. This is going to be placed wherever you want it, where your bike is stored. You're obviously not going to put this on a mobile bike lift because that would be pointless. You're going to put it on the ground. But for the purposes of not having to bend over for the video, we're going to just demonstrate how flush it sits on the stand. You're going to bolt through into the ground. The device comes with some expanding bolts that go into the ground, so I will get one out and show you. These are the sort that as you screw them in, it expands and engages, which makes it much, much harder to ever get them out. That's going to obviously go into the ground. It then has a very firm, hard cover that's going to go onto the top of that. That cover then gets bolted into the plate as well and leaves you with a big loop that's going to be able to take a chain. So if I get my victory lock key again, I can undo my victory lock. I can then pop my chain through the victory lock. And of course, remembering that in your garage or in your driveway, the victory lock is bolted to the ground. And there you have effectively a ground anchor wherever you choose to install it with a chain. So that again is another way to stop your bike from being moved. Now, all of these security devices are there to try and deter and prevent a thief from getting your bike off the driveway. So the next item we're going to look at is often quite underrated in how useful it can be in theft prevention, and that is a cover. Out of sight, out of mind is very often said, and with a bike cover, you're basically going to be putting a magic cloak over that bike, and if it's sat on your driveway, a nasty thief driving past isn't going to clock, "Ooh, he's got a nice bike, I'm going to go in and steal it." He'll just see a cover and probably drive on by. So we have a premium Xlmoto bike cover here. There are a couple of bike cover options from Xlmoto, so do check out the website. This is the premium one. It is fully waterproof. It has double taped seams to improve that waterproof functionality, a large Xlmoto logo, and a feature that I particularly like about this cover is the fact that at the top, where it will be over your handlebars, there's actually a ventilation system. So if you think about the fact that sometimes you might have to put your cover onto a slightly damp motorcycle having been out in the rain, when you put your cover on, if it was completely sealed plastic cover over the top, you could almost get a sweating environment inside there with a bit of damp. But this cover has some ventilation holes built in, which is going to enable the bike to breathe a little bit underneath, but the flaps over the top prevent the water going into those holes. So I'm going to do my best to get this cover on while the bike is up high on a stand. So this cover actually comes with 2 holes at the front to give you access to put a chain, for example, through your wheel. And it also has a underbelly strap, which goes under the middle of the motorbike, and that's going to help prevent a waft of wind getting into the cover and pulling it off the bike. That's adjustable. So that is the bike cover on. Straight away, there's a little bit less temptation for the thieves. But there is still one more item that I want to talk to you about today. If all of these efforts fail and your bike is stolen, the next item will help you find it and know where it is, and that is a tracking device. So we have the SweTrack here, and I'm going to talk through some of the features of this tiny but mighty, yet again, little device. So if I take the SweTrack out of the box, you will see quite how small it is. It is a little device. It is fully water resistant, so it's safe on a motorcycle in wet conditions. It comes in the box with the wiring that you will need to install it and an instruction manual. So this is a GPS tracking device and comes with an inbuilt SIM. It does mean that once you've purchased the tracker, you need to do a monthly subscription, which is around starting at €5. So not a hefty amount for the fact that you will always know where your motorcycle is. Now this needs to be installed a little bit carefully on your motorcycle. I'm not going to give you any clues or any ideas, because if you know where I'm telling you to put it, the thief can also know, but use your mind to have a look for somewhere secure and unobvious on the motorcycle, bearing in mind that this side needs to be facing upwards. Once installed on the bike, it does run off the battery of your bike, but it has got a 100 amp hour battery on it and a standby mode. So when the bike is stationary, it's only going to be pulling between 8 and 10 milliamps. But once it's in motion and pinging every 15 seconds its GPS location, it will be using 40 milliamps of power, which is why you have it connected to your battery. So what do you get? How do you know where this little device is? That is down to the app capability. So you get an app subscription as part of it, and in there you can see in live time, anytime you want, exactly where your motorcycle is. And the geo-fencing capability gives you an ability to create a home area. So for example, if you wanted to be able to move your motorcycle around in your driveway or in your garage freely without getting a notification of disturbance, you could set that area on your device as a home area that it will only notify you of movement once it leaves that area. Quite clever if you want to be able to move around in the garage. So this device is triggered by vibration, by movement, and by GPS update pinging. So as soon as any of those three happen, it's going to send an alert straight to your phone and you'll be able to see exactly where your bike is. So worst case scenario, someone's tampering with your bike, you're going to get a notification once they start moving it. If they get it in a van and disappear, you'll be able to see where it's going on a map. Don't recommend you go after it, but it will be a useful piece of information for the police. It's also worth noting that there are quite a few insurance companies that will actually give you a reduction on your insurance premium when you have a tracker like this installed. So something worth thinking about. So that is a wrap on the SweTrack. I would recommend having a look at this and all of the other safety products that are available on the Xlmoto website. The unfortunate thing is the thieves are out there, and the whole time we all ride lovely bikes, they're sadly going to be after it. So get in the comments and let me know what sort of security you're using. Let us know if you have any questions, and I hope this video will help keep your bike safe. I'm Vanessa Ruck here in the Xlmoto garage, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.